Hello, and welcome to Rosa Laura. If it's your first time here, then it's so wonderful to meet you, and if you're returning, it is so wonderful to have you back. My name is Rosa, I'm a digital artist, and today I'm going to be working on a series of commissions. So this group of commissions that I was asked to do was for these characters from Icewind Dale, which is a D&D module. Now, it's funny in that I haven't played Icewind Dale. In fact, I don't think I've ever actually been able to play any of the D&D sort of like module sets. I've heard a lot about them, both like positive and negative, looking at you, Horde of the Dragon Queen. But Icewind Dale has a really interesting sort of direction with the like art and the art direction that I think is super interesting. Seeing all those really cool colors, a lot of really natural tones. And when my client came to me and said, hey, I really like these characters, could you put together basically like a series of Chibis of them over time? I was absolutely ecstatic. The first Chibi that I have here is Avarice, I believe is her name. She is a tiefling, and way back in the day, I was a Homestuck girl, and one of my favorite sins to commit as a Homestuck girl was I would forget to put horns on the trolls all the time. So I waited until the last minute with Avarice to actually put horns on her. When I was working on the piece and I realized I had completely forgotten, I felt maybe a little bit embarrassed because I was like, oh man, not only have I forgotten, but I'm doing a speed paint of her. And now everybody will know that I forgot to put horns on this tiefling. But I did get there, I promise. Just like with Homestuck, I promised I did remember eventually to put horns on the trolls. They just weren't my favorite, okay? I like the kids. So Avarice kind of came together pretty easily. I like the sort of meshing of the neutral tones with like sort of like that little pink cast in her skin, and I love the gradation on the tail and the horns, so that was a big win for me. Such a wonderful time. I love working on things for clients and making them look good for them, so I'm very, very happy with the way that she turned out. Now, Nas is next, and Nas actually gave me a little bit of trouble not in drawing her, but you'll see here in a second. I actually really like the pose that I picked for her, this sort of like questioning sort of look towards this orb, which apparently is an item that she has in the module, in the like little campaign. And I had a lot of fun putting in all the texturing. You can kind of see how I'm already like, okay, so this is gonna layer here, this is gonna layer there. And now the speed paint has stopped moving because I forgot to export the rest of the time lapse. So here she is all done. She looks fantastic. I did a lot of modeling of the colors on like the cloak. I wanted to do a lot of texturing with the different little bands and ribs along everything, but I messed up. That one's on me. Now, this is actually the first time that I've done a guy as a chibi before. I guess it's just a little bit less likely that somebody will ask me to do an art of a guy. But this is Dazan, I believe is how you say his name. And this little guy, I love the art, the reference art for him. He just kind of looks like a chill sort of guy, but there's still like this little mischievous edge to him. I love that his hat kind of had these little patches of snow. Everything about the module itself, you know, being set in this extremely icy setting, sort of like the threat of like, oh, like, am I gonna like just freeze to death in the middle of the adventure? That seemed exciting to me. I like it when nature is also part of the problem for your players to be dealing with. And so it made it extra fun for me as an artist because I'm like, ooh, I get to put like fur fringe on everything, and all of the clothes get to have really heavy textures. And I had a lot of fun with this guy. His hat is legendary. It is so huge. And at first I was like, is this gonna look correct? Is this actually going to fit onto his big old chibi head? But I think I was able to make it work one way or another. Design was a delight. I only wish that his design had a little bit more color. In order to combat this, my commissioner and I were like, okay, like let's give him like a little scarf, something a little bit more prevalent than what he has in his art. And, you know, just tried to make the shading kind of a little bit richer. I'm using kind of like this dark reddish brown instead of something that's completely neutral. So trying to give him a little bit of color where otherwise he wouldn't have any. But here's the thing. I completely understand if you're going to be out in the frozen tundra that you have to blend in with your surroundings. You can't be on your best fashion game. But that's just me. That's just my taste. In any case, I think that he turned out really well. Even though his chibi is friendless, and in his art he does have a lovely little friend right there, I think that he does a pretty good job of holding his own. It's kind of interesting to see the eye shines even in the shadow. I gotta love those eye shines. They are essential for me in the chibis that I do. And this last chibi is of Vellynne. I think that's how you say her name. Vellynne is, I guess, like one of the chibis that I've done, or like the first chibi that I've done of like an older character. Usually people are like, I would like this, you know, like young adult character or that sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But I really loved, like, I love her design. I kind of fell in love with it the moment that I saw it. I love the shapes. I love how heavy her cloak looks. I love the fur that she has. I love the way that her hair swooshes. Everything about her, I was like, this is like my kind of character. So I really wanted to not shy away from the fact that she looks older. I wanted her jaw to be a little bit more angular, as it's like in the piece of art that I was given to reference from. I wanted her to have those little forehead wrinkles. I wanted her to have the under eye bags. I think that characters that are older, they're showing off their experience, and I don't ever want to shy away from that. Vellynne was, I don't want to say she was the most fun to draw. I loved drawing these all in their own way. In fact, I think Nas, unfortunately, was maybe my favorite, despite the fact that I lost so much of the footage associated with her. But she was a delight to draw, and so was this lovely, lovely lady. Again, the fur trim. The fur in her picture actually felt a little bit different in that there was, instead of sort of like a heavy, sort of like layered feeling to the fur, it was very like puffy. It was like very puffed out. It kind of felt more like one piece instead of a layer, one on top of the other. So I tried to texture this piece of fur a little bit differently in order to get that across. And I hope that it does come across. I tried to use these really kind of like cool tones in both her highlights and her shadows, because that's the way that it is in her art. And honestly, I just really love the way that she looks. She kind of has this haunted feel to her that I think just got communicated really well. And she just looks like she has a bunch of experience. I would trust her. I think what I know about her character tells me I should not trust her, but I'd follow her, right? I'd follow her into a blizzard, and I would definitely be okay at the end of it. But of course, I want to thank all of my patrons who helped me make art, especially Banjo, Confocal Clips, and Deviantart. They're awesome. And thank you to you for watching. If you want to see another video, you can click on one. There will be one posted for you. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you like what I do, you can support me on Patreon. But just remember, it's all gonna be okay. See you next time.